Welcome back to the show, everybody. We have another little kind of drive time show for you on the way into work this morning. It's a beautiful morning here on the east coast of Ireland. We had a beautiful thing last night as well. We seen the Northern Lights. It was unbelievable last night to see it for real, and it was incredibly looking. I believe it was across the UK and Ireland last night, so incredible to see that. Amazing how these things seem to be manifesting themselves in recent times, isn't it? Stuff like that, the way the whole world has gone through a change. But park that for the moment. Beautiful morning here, and I jumped on. I thought I wanted to have a chat about the news that broke yesterday that Julian Ward is returning to Liverpool, and where I'm very, very excited about the return of Michael Edwards, and excited for Richard Hughes coming in, and Arne Slot looks like it's done and dusted basically at this stage. It's just a season-ending announcement, but everything is signed up as far as Fabrizio Romano is concerned. Pedro Marquez coming in, some really, really exciting stuff happening there. Now Julian Ward, the band is getting back together. The only thing I wanted to park on this, and I do love a conspiracy theory, and you know that as well, and I did say at the time back in January when Klopp made his announcement that this guy isn't tired. There's more to this than meets the eye, as they say, and it's incredible when we look at it and stuff like that. Sometimes we really are the perpetrators of our own downfall with this club, aren't we? In terms of, you look at the Spurs game last week and then the drop off in the games prior to that, and you think, excuse the Arteta pun, but did we have a light bulb moment or something like that? Did we suddenly all of a sudden believe that we were Liverpool Football Club again and all this kind of thing, and how did we lose the belief and all? And I think a lot of what's been going on in the background in the club has really manifested itself and destabilised what's going on the pitch, and we've seen it time and time again in many clubs. And I think for us this season is an eye-opening season and a poignant moment to take stock of where we are as a club. And it's very, very interesting when you look at what's gone on and what's manifested and stuff like that. As I said, Klopp made the announcement back in January. I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, Florida time. I was over in Florida going to the Royal Rumble. Darren rang me. The announcement was all over Sky Sports News and all. We were talking about it in the middle of the night for me, morning for him. And when the announcement came out, rival fans were so excited and all, because they know the level that Klopp brings. We know the level that Klopp can bring out of these players and stuff like that. We spoke time and time again that maybe these players operate maybe 20-30% higher than what they should do under Jurgen Klopp in the way that he motivates them. And at the time we thought that maybe the announcement was going to galvanise the team, get the team together and push them through to the end of the season to deliver what would have been an unbelievable send-off for the gaffer, potentially in a League and Europa League double. And that, of course, all fell asunder. Atalanta, shocking. The United games, shocking. Palace, shocking. Everton, shocking. And it's been a really, really disappointing send-off for the gaffer. In terms of the Carabao Cup, and very little else to show for it or get excited about. Now I know it's great being back in the Champions League and all that kind of stuff, but really being in the Champions League for us as Liverpool Football Club, that's an obligation. That's not an achievement. That's the minimum expectation we should have. And I've often spoken about standards in the club and all that kind of stuff, and how the standards sometimes do be on the floor. Sometimes we get gassed up by the littlest of things and we forget how big a club we are. So getting this news in is really, really exciting and all, the band getting back together and stuff like that, but it kind of feels to me like the band is getting back together but the lead singer is exiting the building. And I don't have any judgment call on Arne Slot. I don't know a whole lot about him, and we'll see when he comes in, and no doubt when he comes in he'll get the full backing of all of us as fans. But the wording that's used on all this thing is quite significant in this, Arne Slot, head coach. And a number of people have been asking me on my podcast, really, how do I feel? I think John Sommer was in there the other night asking me, how do I feel about Arne coming in, and is he really going to have an input in the recruitment side of players and stuff like that? And I felt at the time, I think he really does. I think he has to have an input the end of the day, Michael Edwards and the team can go out, they can do all the analytics in the world, they can, you know, pinpoint the players that they want to get, they can pinpoint the bargains that they want to bring in and all these kind of things. But at the end of the day, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, it's what happens in the locker room, in the dressing room. It's what happens when Arnie decides who he's going to pick, what formation he's going to play, you know, and it's whether all those other guys have a huge input in that as well. And it's whether Arnie's going to be okay with that. It sounds like it. I'm sure he's been told what the structure is going to be. He seems very excited about coming in and taking on the job, and so he should be. It's one of the biggest jobs in world football. But it's going to be interesting to see how all this pans out. And from a conspiracy point of view, I really believe Jurgen Klopp ain't tired at all. I believe we know the fractured relationship that was there, both with himself and Michael Edwards and Julian Ward. Both men exiting the building. I don't believe for a minute Michael Edwards wanted to get out of football. He was the guy in that position back then, if you remember. Julian Ward taking over for him. I'm not sure if that was a step too far, but I'm sure it was quite fractured. We've heard stories coming out on recommendations of players from Julian Ward and his team, and Klopp went the other way and took control. And we've seen that the control that Jurgen wanted, along with Pep Linders, you know, basically made kind of the analytics department and all that recruitment department kind of redundant somewhat. And we can argue back and forward about whether the signings that Jurgen has brought in have been successful or not. We've seen Luis Diaz, we've seen Cody Gakpo, we've seen Darwin Núñez, obviously Endo's come in, Alexis McAllister, which would probably be the shining light. But I mean, we know how good a player he was anyway. I mean, at 35 million, that's no risk at all. Like, that's a deal that any of us could do. You don't need to have any brain cells at all to know about that. Dominic Szoboszlai. So it's interesting to see, and it's interesting as well that the soundings that have been coming out in recent times about some of these players not being happy with Klopp going, that, you know, a big part of the reason he signed was they expected Jurgen Klopp to be their coach. And I just get the feeling this was kind of like a little bit of a coup, you know, to get Jurgen out of the club. And it seemed like they've gone totally the opposite way to him in order to kind of force the decision. Now, are we really truly led to believe that Michael Edwards was summoned to an emergency meeting in March in Boston to meet with FSG to sign the contract to become CEO? I don't think as a fan base we're that naive. I think a lot of this was already put in place, and I think once Jurgen got whiff of that he was literally going to become the coach and he wasn't going to have much of the influence that he had previously in terms of recruitment. That coupled with the documentary, I mean, there's a lot of things here he verbally voiced, you know, that he would walk if these things happened, and these things seem to have happened. I reckon the deal with Michael Edwards was in place way before March. I'd say that happened in January, and I'd say FSG told Jurgen, and I'd say Jurgen threw his aces on the table and said, well, it's me or them, and they chose them. So I don't believe for a minute that a lot of these chess pieces that are happening have just suddenly happened, you know, and that there was that gap between them happening and Jurgen's announcement. And we know that stuff is going to come out. We can tell by, you know, some of the stuff we're hearing from the players, even the senior players, you know, a lot of players assessing their future, you know, a lot of players not dismissing links. You know, we heard of Trent with Real Madrid, you know, we know his deal is coming up, you know, so a lot of this stuff previously would have been dismissed out of hand. Liverpool through and through and all this kind of stuff, but a lot of this stuff is now not getting dismissed out of hand. A lot of this stuff is being kept on the table. So all these soundings coming out, if you look over the last, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, that has derailed the season that we wanted, you know, has come out, and it's like, is it conspiracy? I have it on the thumbnail there, but is it really conspiracy to think in this way about these things? Do we truly believe Michael Edwards happened after Jurgen Klopp's announcement? Do we truly believe Jurgen Klopp is tired after 9 years at Liverpool? I don't think so. I don't think for a minute Jurgen Klopp is going to be able to work very long. I don't believe Jurgen Klopp is tired. I don't believe Jurgen Klopp is jaded from the battle with Pep Guardiola. I mean, let's be honest, this has been the biggest battle in world football for God knows how many years now. Marginally missing out, you know. And when we look back at Jurgen's era, and we spoke about that as well, it's going to be really a story of huge missed opportunity. And at key times, you know. And as I said, sometimes we're perpetrators of our own downfall. As a club in totality. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you really believe Jurgen woke up one morning in January and decided he was tired? You know, then we get the announcement of the documentary. We get the announcement, you know, Michael Edwards is rejoining the club, and you know, now the band is back together, but it ain't got the lead singer. Do we really believe that do we really believe that Michael Edwards, you know, although he brought in some brilliant players, if you want to take, for example, Andy Robertson as an example, what a deal that was. He was brought in, what a player he's turned out to be. But has he become that player because of the influence of Jurgen Klopp and Jurgen Klopp's training, Jurgen Klopp's motivation, Jurgen Klopp's, you know, arm around the shoulder, all that kind of stuff? Has that motivated Andy Robertson over the years to become this world-class left-back? And if that is the case, going forward, if the crew they've assembled now, if they sign the likes of an Andy Robertson, has Arne Slot got that same potential in him? Because there's no doubt at times some of these players, you know, when the going got really, really tough, you know, it was the influence of Jurgen Klopp there to push these guys through at times when it seemed like failure was on the cards. So let us know your thoughts. Am I being a conspiracy theorist? You know, is Jurgen Klopp just genuinely tired? Or did the band get back together to push the lead singer out? We've said it on many podcasts. The star at Liverpool is Jurgen Klopp. So it's going to be interesting to see next season what happens now. It's going to be a bit of transition. I think that the core base of a really good squad is there. But let's see. Let's see, can Michael Edwards and Julian Ward and Pedro Marquez and Arne Slot do what Jurgen Klopp did in terms of bringing players in and getting that extra 20-30% out of them that you need. And we'll have to see what the reaction is from the rest of the squad and how they're going to feel about this whole situation, because it's going to be very interesting to see what the reaction is when those players rock up in July or whenever they get back together after the Euros. A lot of them will be at it. It's going to be very interesting to see what the reaction is like when they're looking around. No Pep Linders, no John Ackenberg, no Jurgen Klopp. All these people who have been family for the last 8-9 years, now not there. And Arnie will come in with his team, and of course a very different team at board level. So let me know what you think. Is this a master plan from FSG? Did they play the Klopp out card by bringing these guys back? Plenty to be excited about, but plenty of stuff to be weary about as well, in the way business works at the top end. Let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. We will be back tomorrow for an Aston Villa preview. Don't forget that. And of course Monday we'll have the Monday mashup with Mark, and Tuesday we will have Pro Wrestling Weekly. We're going to be talking about King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi. That Saudi show. We've heard Cody now is now main eventing against Logan Paul. Excited for that. But we'll also be talking about Ric Flair, the pizza ride from hell. Talk to you again real soon, folks. Have a great weekend.